The studio lights are blinding. The air is thick with tension. Keanu Reeves sits calmly in the chair, his signature quiet demeanor on full display. Across from him, the host, a man with a sharp tongue and a smirk that screams arrogance, leans forward, ready to pounce. The audience is silent, waiting. The host clears his throat, his tone dripping with condescension. Keanu, let's address the elephant in the room. You've been in Hollywood for decades, but let's be honest. You're not exactly known for your range, are you? A few nervous chuckles ripple through the crowd. Keanu tilts his head slightly, his expression unreadable. The host presses on, his voice growing louder. I mean, come on. You play the same stoic, brooding character in every movie. Isn't it time to admit you're just one note? The audience gasps. Keanu takes a deep breath, his eyes locking onto the host's. You know, he begins, his voice calm but firm, it's interesting that you bring up range. Because acting isn't just about playing different characters. Sometimes it's about showing up, consistently, with integrity. The room falls silent. The host shifts uncomfortably in his seat. Keanu continues, his tone steady. And if being one note means treating people with respect, staying humble, and doing my job without tearing others down, then I'm okay with that. The audience erupts into applause. The host tries to recover, his voice cracking. Well, that's very noble of you, Keanu, but let's not pretend you're some kind of saint. You're just an actor, after all. Keanu leans forward, his gaze piercing. You're right. I am just an actor. But even an actor can choose to be kind, to lift people up instead of putting them down. Maybe that's something you should try. Boom. The crowd goes wild. Cheers, whistles, people on their feet. The host is visibly flustered, fumbling with his notes. But Keanu? He's not done. You see, he says, his voice rising just enough to command the room, the world doesn't need more critics. It needs more builders, more people who care. And if my one-note presence reminds even one person of that, then I've done my job. The audience is electric. The host opens his mouth to respond, but no words come out. Keanu sits back, a small, knowing smile on his face. The room is his. And this is just the beginning. The host's face flushes red. He's scrambling now, desperate to regain control. He forces a laugh, but it comes out hollow. All right, Keanu, let's not get too philosophical here. This is a talk show, not a TED Talk. The audience chuckles nervously, but the energy in the room has shifted. They're on Keanu's side now. The host leans forward, his tone sharper, more aggressive. But let's talk about something real. You've been in the industry for decades. You've seen it all. So tell me, why do you think Hollywood keeps casting you in these stoic hero roles? Is it because they don't see you as anything more than, well, let's be honest, a stereotype? The room goes dead silent. Keanu's expression hardens, just for a moment. The host smirks, sensing he's hit a nerve. I mean, come on. You're not exactly breaking barriers, are you? You're just playing the same role over and over again. Doesn't that bother you? Keanu takes a deep breath, his eyes never leaving the host's. You want to talk about stereotypes, he says, his voice low but steady. Let's talk about them. Let's talk about how people like you reduce others to labels, to boxes, to one-dimensional ideas of who they are. The audience is hanging on every word. Keanu continues, his tone rising slightly. But here's the thing. I don't let anyone define me. Not Hollywood, not the media, and certainly not someone who's never walked a day in my shoes. The host opens his mouth to interrupt, but Keanu doesn't let him. "You see," Keanu says, his voice growing stronger, "it's easy to sit behind a desk and judge. It's easy to tear people down. But what's hard? What's really hard is standing up, staying true to yourself, and doing the work, day after day, without letting the noise drown you out." The audience erupts into applause again, louder this time. The host is visibly sweating now. He tries to laugh it off, but it's clear he's losing the battle. All right," he says, holding up his hands. "Let's not make this personal. I'm just doing my job here." Keanu leans back, his gaze steady. "So am I," he says simply. The crowd goes wild. The host looks down at his notes, flustered. He's searching for something, anything to regain the upper hand. But before he can speak, Keanu adds one final line. "And by the way," he says, his tone calm but cutting, "if you think playing a hero is easy, maybe you should try it sometime." Boom. The audience is on their feet, cheering. The host is speechless. And Keanu? He's just getting started. The host's face is a mix of frustration and panic. He's clearly not used to being on the losing end of a conversation. He forces a smile, but it's tight, unnatural. "All right, Keanu. Let's move on. Let's talk about your latest project. I hear it's another action movie. Shocking, right?" The audience chuckles nervously, but the tension is still thick. Keanu nods, his expression calm. "That's right. It's a story about resilience, about standing up for what's right, even when the odds are against you." The host raises an eyebrow, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "Resilience, huh? Sounds deep. But let's be real. Isn't it just another excuse to blow things up and look cool doing it?" The audience holds its breath. Keanu doesn't flinch. "You know," he says, his voice steady, "there's a reason these stories resonate with people. It's not about the explosions or the stunts. It's about the message, about showing that no matter how hard life gets, you can always fight back. You can always stand up." The host smirks, leaning back in his chair. "That's very poetic, Keanu. But let's not pretend these movies are changing the world. They're just entertainment." Keanu's eyes narrow slightly. "Entertainment?" he repeats, his tone sharper now. "Maybe, but it's also a reflection of what people need. Hope, courage, a reminder that they're not alone." The audience is captivated. The host tries to interject, but Keanu doesn't let him. "You see," Keanu continues, his voice rising, "when people watch these movies, they're not just watching me. They're seeing a part of themselves, a part that's been knocked down but refuses to stay down, a part that believes in something bigger." The crowd erupts into applause again, louder this time. The host is visibly uncomfortable now. He's running out of ways to attack, and it's showing. He clears his throat, trying to regain control. "All right, Keanu, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about your fans. I hear they're very passionate. Some might even say obsessive." Keanu's expression softens, and for the first time he smiles, a genuine, warm smile. "My fans," he says, his tone gentle now, "they're incredible. They're the reason I do what I do. They're the ones who remind me why this work matters." The host leans forward, his tone turning sly. "But don't you think it's a little strange? I mean, they treat you like you're some kind of, I don't know, saint." Keanu shakes his head, his smile never fading. "I'm not a saint," he says simply. "I'm just a guy who tries to do the right thing. And if that inspires people, then I'm grateful." The audience is on the edge of their seats, completely drawn in. The host is silent for a moment, clearly out of ammunition. But then, he smirks again, leaning back in his chair. All right, Keanu, let's end on this. If you're so inspiring, so heroic, then tell me this. What's one thing you've done that you're not proud of? The room goes silent. Keanu looks at the host, his expression unreadable. The host's smirk grows wider. Come on, Keanu. Nobody's perfect. Surely there's something. Keanu takes a deep breath, his gaze steady. You're right, he says finally. Nobody's perfect. I've made mistakes. We all have. But here's the thing about mistakes. They don't define you. What defines you is what you do next. The audience erupts into applause, louder than ever. The host is speechless. And Keanu? He's just proven why he's not just an actor. He's a symbol of something much bigger. The host leans back, clearly frustrated. He's running out of ways to challenge Keanu, and it's starting to show. He forces a laugh, but it's hollow. All right, Keanu, let's wrap this up. But before we go, I have to ask, what's next for you? Another action movie? Another stoic hero role? Or are you finally going to surprise us with something different? Keanu smiles, but there's a quiet intensity in his eyes. What's next? He repeats, his voice calm but firm. What's next is continuing to tell stories that matter, stories that remind people of their strength, their resilience, their humanity. The host rolls his eyes, clearly unimpressed. That's very noble, Keanu. But let's be real. Hollywood isn't exactly known for its depth. Isn't it time you, I don't know, challenged yourself? Keanu leans forward slightly, his gaze unwavering. You want to talk about challenges? He says, his tone sharpening. How about this? The real challenge isn't playing different roles. It's staying true to yourself in a world that constantly tries to change you. It's standing up for what you believe in, even when it's not popular, even when people like you try to tear you down. The audience is silent, completely captivated. The host shifts uncomfortably in his seat, but Keanu isn't done. You see, Keanu continues, his voice rising slightly, the roles I play, they're not just about entertainment. They're about showing people that no matter how hard life gets, they can keep going. They can fight back. They can win. The crowd erupts into applause, louder than ever. The host tries to speak, but Keanu cuts him off. And as for challenging myself, Keanu says, his tone calm but cutting. Every day is a challenge. Every day is a chance to be better, to do better, and that's a challenge I'll never stop accepting. The audience is on their feet, cheering. The host is completely defeated, his smug grin replaced by a look of stunned silence. Keanu stands, his presence commanding the room. Thank you, he says simply, his voice calm but powerful. Thank you for reminding me why I do what I do. And with that, he walks off the stage, leaving the host speechless and the audience in awe. The camera pans to the crowd, still cheering, still buzzing with energy. And as the screen fades to black, one final message appears. At the end of the day, there are two kinds of people, the ones who build and the ones who tear down. Which one are you? The video ends, but the impact lingers. The screen fades back in, but this time, it's not the studio. It's a montage. Clips of Keanu Reeves over the years. A young Keanu, fresh-faced and full of hope, filming his first movie. Keanu on set, performing his own stunts, pushing himself to the limit. Keanu off-screen, quietly donating millions to charity, never seeking recognition. Keanu stopping to talk to a fan, signing autographs, taking pictures, always patient, always kind. A voiceover begins, deep and resonant. Keanu Reeves isn't just an actor. He's a reminder that kindness matters, that resilience matters, that staying true to yourself matters. The montage shifts to fans, real people sharing their stories. A young woman, tears in her eyes. Keanu's movies got me through the hardest time of my life. They reminded me that I could keep going. A man in a military uniform. His characters inspired me to never give up, no matter how tough things got. A teenager holding a poster. He's not just a hero on screen. He's a hero in real life. The screen fades to black again, and the voiceover returns. In a world that often feels divided, Keanu Reeves stands as a symbol of hope, of strength, of humanity. The final image appears, a simple quote from Keanu himself. Be kind. Work hard. Stay humble. The rest will follow. The video ends, but the message lingers. The audience is left with a choice, a challenge. Will they be the ones who build, or the ones who tear down? The screen fades to black one last time, and the words appear, "Which one are you?" The screen fades back in, but this time it's not a montage. It's a live feed. Keanu Reeves standing outside the studio surrounded by fans. The camera zooms in as he talks to a young boy, no older than 10, who's holding a handmade poster. "Mr. Reeves," the boy says, his voice trembling with excitement. "You're my hero. I want to be just like you when I grow up." Keanu crouches down, meeting the boy at eye level. "You don't have to be like me," he says, his voice gentle but firm. "You just have to be the best version of yourself. That's all anyone can ask of you." The boy's eyes widen, and he nods, clutching his poster tightly. The camera pans to the crowd, capturing their reactions, smiles, tears, and a sense of awe. But then, something unexpected happens. A man steps forward, his face hidden under a hood. He's holding a microphone, and his voice is sharp, confrontational. "Keanu Reeves," the man says, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "You're always talking about kindness and humility. But let's be real. You're just a guy who got lucky. You're not some kind of saint." The crowd gasps, and the tension is palpable. Keanu stands up slowly, his expression calm but serious. "You're right," he says, his voice steady. "I'm not a saint. I'm just a guy who tries to do the right thing. And if that inspires people, then I'm grateful." The man steps closer, his tone growing more aggressive. "But what about the people who don't have your luck? The people who work just as hard but never get the same opportunities? What do you say to them?" Keanu doesn't flinch. "I say this," he replies, his voice rising slightly. "Life isn't fair. It never has been. But that doesn't mean you give up. It doesn't mean you stop trying. It means you keep going. You keep fighting. And you never, ever lose sight of who you are." The crowd erupts into applause, but the man isn't done. "That's easy for you to say," he snaps. "You're rich. You're famous. You don't know what it's like to struggle." Keanu takes a step forward, his gaze unwavering. "You don't know my story," he says, his voice low but powerful. "You don't know what I've been through. But here's what I do know. Struggle doesn't define you. What defines you is how you respond to it." The man opens his mouth to respond, but no words come out. Keanu turns to the crowd, his voice rising. "We all have a choice," he says. "We can let our struggles break us, or we can let them make us stronger. We can tear each other down, or we can lift each other up. The choice is ours." The crowd is silent, completely captivated. Keanu looks back at the man, his expression calm but resolute. "So, what's it going to be?" he asks. "Are you going to keep tearing people down? Or are you going to start building something better?" The man lowers his microphone, his face unreadable, and then, without a word, he turns and walks away. The crowd erupts into cheers, and Keanu smiles, a small, knowing smile. The camera zooms in on his face as he says one final line. Be kind, work hard, stay humble, the rest will follow. The screen fades to black, and the words appear, Which one are you? The video ends, but the message lingers. The screen fades back in, but this time it's not Keanu, it's you. The camera pans to a quiet street at dawn. A single mother, exhausted but determined, heading to her second job. A firefighter rushing into a burning building without hesitation. A teacher staying late to help a struggling student. A factory worker clocking in for another long shift. The voiceover begins, soft but powerful. Heroes aren't just on the screen. They're everywhere, in every corner of the world, in every act of kindness, in every moment of resilience. The screen shifts to a young girl sitting in a hospital bed holding a Keanu Reeves action figure. She looks weak, but her eyes are full of determination. I'm going to beat this, she says, her voice trembling but strong, just like Keanu beats the bad guys. The camera cuts to a man in a wheelchair, training for a marathon. I may not be able to walk, he says, his voice steady, but I can still run. I can still fight. The screen shifts again, this time to a group of volunteers cleaning up a park after a storm. We may not be famous, one of them says, smiling, but we're making a difference, and that's what matters. The voiceover returns, stronger now. Keanu Reeves isn't the hero. He's just a reminder that heroes are everywhere, that you can be a hero. The screen fades to black, and the words appear. The world doesn't need more critics. It needs more builders, more fighters, more heroes. The final image is a simple question. What kind of hero will you be? The video ends, but the challenge remains. The audience is left with a choice, a call to action. Will they be the ones who build, the ones who fight, the ones who inspire, or will they sit back and let others do the work? The screen fades to black one last time, and the words appear, The choice is yours. The screen fades back in, but this time it's not a montage or a message. It's live. Keanu Reeves is back, standing in front of a packed audience. But this isn't a talk show. It's a charity event. The camera zooms in as he steps up to the microphone, his expression calm but serious. Thank you, he says, his voice steady. Thank you for being here, for showing up, for caring. The crowd cheers, but Keanu raises his hand, silencing them. But this isn't about me, he continues. This is about us, about what we can do together, about the difference we can make. The screen shifts to show the charity's work, building schools in underserved communities, providing clean water to villages, supporting families in crisis. The voiceover begins, soft but powerful. Every dollar, every act of kindness, every moment of effort, it matters, it changes lives. The camera cuts back to Keanu, his gaze steady. I'm just one person, he says, but together, we can move mountains, we can change the world. The crowd erupts into applause, but Keanu isn't done. So, here's my challenge to you, he says, his voice rising. Don't wait for someone else to make a difference. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Start now. Start where you are. Start with what you have. The screen shifts again, this time to show real people, ordinary people, doing extraordinary things. A teenager organizing a food drive in her neighborhood, a retired couple volunteering at a homeless shelter, a group of friends cleaning up a local park. The voiceover returns, stronger now. Heroes aren't born, they're made. By choice, by action, by courage. The camera cuts back to Keanu, his expression calm but resolute. "So, what's it going to be?" he asks. "Are you going to sit back and let others do the work, or are you going to stand up and be the hero the world needs?" The crowd is silent, completely captivated. Keanu takes a deep breath, his gaze steady. "The choice is yours," he says simply. The screen fades to black, and the words appear, "Be the hero. Start today." The video ends, but the message lingers. The audience is left with a choice, a challenge. Will they be the ones who build, the ones who fight, the ones who inspire? Or will they sit back and let others do the work? The screen fades to black one last time, and the words appear. What kind of hero will you be? The choice is yours.